You're here.
Here. We're all here. 8 days till the draft,
Let's
but less than
do.
72 hours until it's still to me the granddaddy of them all, the pop culture extravaganza, the show of shows.
Mhm.
WrestleMania is here, and who better to tie it all together than my man Jared Silberkleit? But we're not going to waste any time. We're not going to hold any punches. What's going on with the star defensive tackle of the New York Giants? Like you hear, oh, Dexter Lawrence wants a trade, and then you hear like, hey, it's
It's
just more or
all
less this
about
camp.
the
I know
money.
it's all about the
It's
money, but
all.
now you're hearing, hey, they're not really close. It seems to be about 10 million apart. I really think this is a good test for this current new regime, and also too, I honestly think this could be a trade. I don't think it's going to happen like this week if it were to, but I think if they can't reach an impasse by next Wednesday, you're going to see. I think the gas on the fire is really going to start to ignite Thursday afternoon.
Sure. I mean, it's a type of move that can really, shake up the draft in a big way. I mean, I don't want to see Dexter Lawrence go. I hope that if they do have to move on, that they're able to get a first for him because he is that good. And it leaves a massive void in our defense. And if we have to move on, I want to be confident that we are ready to plug up that hole immediately
Yep.
because it is very frustrating as a Giants fan to like see a rare instance of us getting like drafting a really good player and developing him, watch him become one of the premier guys at his position in the league, and then we finally get a proper defensive minded coach in there coming from a winning system, a system with success in physicality up front where it's like, oh, finally we get to see this guy really reach his full potential,
Yep.
and now they've got this contractual dispute. So, I'm when you're hearing like they're 10 mil apart, I mean, that kind of that has to be a signal like the end could be near. So I hope that if we have to move on, that we get a good haul for him. And I don't want to see him go though. I mean, I'm holding out hope that like they can work something out. But if they can't, then it's got to be a good return because we have to be in position to yeah uh to cover the gap, right? That's a big hole in the middle of the field, middle of the defensive line, I should say.
Yeah, because when you think about the New York Giants, you have the two ends covered. You have Carter on one end, you have Burns on another end. The Thibodeau situation, I think that's just another probably going to end up not being a. I don't. I think he'll be there this year. I can see the 2027. He's not a New York Giant anymore. He goes
Probably
somewhere
not,
else.
yeah, and that's where Sonny Styles makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like Caleb Downs for a need standpoint also does make sense in my opinion. I know some people are kind
right.
of like, should they go this? Should they go that? But it's a really good test. When I say the test for the regime, just because we're trying to figure out right now, oh, like who's really in charge? Is there because you have John Harbaugh, but then Shane's still the GM, but then you bring in Donna Ponte from the league office,
Right.
and she's reporting to Harbaugh. So I really also think there's a world where Shane's fired post draft, like middle of May. Because you're not gonna because think about it, you're not gonna fire a GM when you have this new coach coming in and you have this small little window to get ready for the draft. You're not just gonna
Sure.
shake everything up
Yeah.
there. But I do think that if after the draft there's still an impasse or disagreement, that's where I can see, them moving on from him, or they just let the year play out and see where it goes. No, I always thought the Dexter Lawrence move was eventually just a power play from the agent, being like, hey, we want to trade, we want to get money. But I also look at it too for where he can go. I don't think they're just going to trade him anywhere to get him off the book. I think they're going to trade him to a team that, hey, because this is a decent draft for defensive tackles. And if you have a first round pick, say, I don't know, Harbaugh's old team in Baltimore, number 14 sitting right there, you struck out on a world class defensive player before. I'm not saying, because I don't think that Dexter would get the same Crosby package where it's 2-1s, but I definitely can see, a first,
Right.
this kind of like do you remember the Mitch Trubisky package from like 10 years ago? Where it was like a first, a third, and like a fifth or a sixth, and then maybe they do Dexter
Yeah, it was
Lawrence,
a
and then
lot.
like but like something like that, where it's like 2 to 3 picks going one way, and then like Dexter Lawrence and maybe like a fifth or a sixth going to another team, just to kind of like even the pick
Or it
distribution
could
out just
be
a little.
it could be a player that's already in the league,
Yeah,
and that like if the partner was the Jaguars and you got BTJ in a second or something like that,
yeah,
or something along, or maybe it's BTJ in a third. BT, he's pretty high value, but um, I could see something along those lines.
I I can as well, especially if the because the Jags have been saying like, hey, we're not getting rid of Brian Thomas Jr., but I really do think that in the world of NFL football, I think there's probably 5, maybe 6 to 10 players who are truly considered untouchable. Like
Right.
where it's like, say for example, you call a Cheech, we want Pat and call ends. Like, it's like there's certain. I think there's only like a handful of players that have that key thing. So even though they say, hey, the Brian Thomas Jr. trade rumors were out there, I still think, hey, you present the right package to Jacksonville, and you say, hey, BTJ can go somewhere, be the star, because we still don't know Malik's full health to the extent of
Sure.
what he's going to be going into 2026. The other Giants player I see, or not Giants player, but Giants people saying, oh, the Giants could go after him, is Jeremiah Love in the draft. I understand the
I don't
appeal.
see it.
I understand the appeal of Love. I think Love is probably going to be the outside of Mendoza. I think he's truly going to be probably one of the best offensive players in this class. That being
Yeah.
said, though, the Giants, I don't think are ready to make that sex appeal pick yet. I think you need a pick who's going
No.
to come in, who's going to contribute at a position of need on day one. So I just want to get it off my chest about Jeremiah Love because I think everyone thinks, Scattaboo has a short shelf life because of the way he plays. But I honestly
Yeah.
think the
Thing
older
is,
you
it's not
get,
just him, man. Like I
yeah,
think that Scattaboo is like the charisma guy and the big personality, and he is a good player too. But people forget that Scattaboo is in a tandem with Ty. He's in a platoon with Tyrone Tracy,
yeah,
and he only got as many carries as he did last year. Those games where he had all the touches, it was out of necessity because he was the only healthy running back. The ideal situation is that both of those guys are going to be platooned, getting in the 12 to 15 touch range a game. So the reason
and
that
one's
I
bone doesn't
say,
stick outside of their hand, one person's bone doesn't come right out of their body.
well, yeah, and they are insurance policies for one another as well. But I think that and also they re-signed Devin Singletary. Not that it could be a huge difference maker, but the point is that
You
the
need someone
Giants,
who can work out of the. Sorry to cut you off though, but you need someone who
yeah,
can work out of the backfield on third downs
right.
that can pass catch as well.
Yeah, and it's like if you bring in a Jeremiah Love is a Bijan Robinson, a Saquon Barkley type who's got to come in and
Bell cow.
dominate your backfield and be your bell cow. So you've invested in a solid, let's call it a solid running back room. Like it's good.
Yeah.
You can get production out of that. And also it's the sort of thing that John Harbaugh has worked with most of his career because we got to remember before the Derrick Henry years, this is how the Ravens operated. The Ravens were kind of like the system. The system was very effective. They did not necessarily always have the one superstar running back. It was about the overall culture of running the ball. So you could be taking a solid running back room and completely throwing it out the window for Jeremiah Love, or you could take an area of obvious need where we need defensive back help, or Kayvon Thibodeau going to be moving on, need to replace him with a Sonny Styles. Like the defense is begging for some help. We are begging for some extra bodies back there. I don't think that we need to be blowing a number 5 pick on a position that we're already like realistically compared to the current running back room. Jeremiah Love is going to give us probably an additional like 50 yards of offense a game.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's really worth it.
Yeah, I think people just see it where they're like, oh, the Giants could use someone to go with Scattaboo, but then they can't forget about the Tracy, they forget about Singletary. Like I really think if you're the Giants, regardless of what happens with the Dexter Lawrence situation, you still have to go defense in the first round, in my opinion. Because, and here's the other thing too
Yep.
that I don't understand with the whole trade thing for Harbaugh not wanting him. The Baltimore defense was built on having some big dudes up front. Like Haloti Ngata is one of the best defensive tackles like you can look at over the last 25 years. A guy who just runs stuffer, just creates havoc up the
Sure.
middle. And I think for Dexter as well, he's always been underrated. And I'm not saying this in the sense of like, oh, he's underappreciated. No, it's unfortunate that hey, your come up was when Chris Jones, who's a one of one defensive tackle, is a cornerstone of a dynasty Super Bowl run. I think that's where
Yeah.
everyone kind of like Dexter Lawrence kind of got passed by the wayside, and like Jalen. Because here's the other thing too: if they want to re-sign him, there's a team in your division who has a defensive tackle who's probably going to get 30 million plus in not Dexter Lawrence, Jalen Carter.
Young
You have
Carter,
Milton.
right.
The Patriots are paying Milton Williams a pretty penny right now.
Yep.
Christian Barmore's getting a decent chunk of change from the Patriots. Those are just the
Yep.
defensive tackles coming to mind. Aleem McNeil, and I already look at those guys. And even to my guys are good, but I know that Dexter Lawrence is the engine that makes that New York Giants defense run. Without him, you lose a lot of that. You don't realize how valuable a great run stuffer is until you don't have him anymore. So I understand the Giants if they're thinking, I don't know, and there's no long game to think about with them. Like is Malik good? Yes, but I think you have to see him this year coming off the injury. Hey, are we willing to commit what Jackson Smith and Jigba got about a few weeks ago in the $42 million to him next year? I would say no right now. He is good, and that's not an insult. It's just because of the injury, because he's coming off an ACL in his second year. And then the Jackson Dart stuff too. There's still some question marks there with him. Like, hey, is he going to calm his play style down? I know he wants to run and play a little reckless, but my prime example of that is we saw in the Patriots game, he almost got killed. So the Giants still do have some soul searching to do.
Yep.
But I really think your division as a whole in the NFC East, I honestly can't get a read on any of the four teams this year on who's going to be great. Because if you look at it, you have the Commanders in a huge prove-it year where Jaden Daniels has to rebound if he's going to want to get paid, because we are like he will. Yep. But like if you look at that quarterback class, you have a guy who's been an MVP frontrunner who went to the Super Bowl, a guy who, if they had stayed healthy, maybe they get to the Super Bowl. You have Caleb Williams, who was knocking on the door of the NFC Championship game. So for Jaden, it's a real prove-it year, and then all the drama going on in Philly, man. Like, I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff, but it seems like they're starting to fire.
Yeah, the cracks are starting to show the culture, man. It's like, yeah, you're talking like, Jalen Hurts. There's whispers coming out about the locker room not really being behind this guy and not thinking that he's totally committed and everything. And like we know that him and AJ Brown, that relationship is deteriorating. AJ Brown's got to still be a major trade candidate. Obviously, he was unhappy with the way that the offense was being run last year. And with the offensive line, kind of having turnover there as well. Obviously,
hasn't been the same since Kelsey retired. Hasn't been the same since Kelsey retired.
Exactly. It went like this was not the Stonewall unstoppable unit that it was when they won the Super Bowl. You could tell in Saquon's performance. Like most weeks last year, he ended up being kind of a dud. So, and it's not to say that he himself is washed, but if the offensive line is not what it was, they are, it's a far cry from having a running back that's going to put 150 yards on you every single week. Obviously, he was not that last year. So, there are a lot of signs to show. I mean, there have always been a very good team in terms of like team building. Howie Roseman's an excellent GM. There's still talent on the roster to be good, be competitive, not be a bottom of the barrel team, be a contender still probably. But there's a big difference between being a contender and being a runaway favorite. And I think that we are now being removed from the Eagles being a runaway favorite. I would say that the Commanders, I'm not so confident in them. I think Washington is the worst team in the division. I think that defense is a total sieve. Anyone can score on them. The league is getting tape on Jaden Daniels. Him, not having the frame maybe for, long-term success at the position. I think that, it is a big prove-it year, as you pointed out. But I just feel like this is a team that, they're either going to be in shootouts or blowouts and on the wrong end of those blowouts. The Cowboys, I feel like possible slight improvement on this year, but same kind of situation of fringe contender, middle of the road. I think the Giants are elevating themselves into fringe contender, middle of the road with upside. The proof is not there to say they are a contender. I think that they have the potential to become a contender. And I could see this division, the winner being separate. The winner could be separated from second place by a game or two.
Yeah, because even we've left out the other team too in Dallas, and I know everyone likes to kind of frog on them, but I don't know if they can get their defense right, and maybe we'll see what happens with George Pickens. They could be I don't really think there's a team in that division who's going to be truly abhorrent.
Yeah, at this one with the Cowboys, just to add on with them, I would put them as a rich man's Commanders, where I see that this team, just like last year, they were in a lot of shootouts. Anyone can score on their defense. They should be healthier on defense next year, which should be a little bit better. But generally speaking, I see it again as a team that's probably going to be in the 8 to 10 win range, maybe, which isn't a bad place to be, but it could result in fringe missing the playoffs. And they'll be in shootouts, but they'll probably win more than Washington, because with their offense, you're getting more polish out of that. You have a really good 1-2 WR combo. And Javonte Williams was good last year. They're good enough to be a pain in the ass without being a front runner.
Yeah, like I'm not here to say, oh, the Dallas Cowboys are going to go and do the thing they haven't done in 30 plus years and win a Super Bowl and go to a conference championship game. No, but I definitely think they're going to be a more competitive team, a more balanced team next year. Where, yeah,
Right.
hey, bet they're over, bet the overs constantly with the Dallas Cowboys. Um, but no, the end, like that's the thing about right now. Like I hate it already. People making videos and stuff being like, oh, this team's going to miss the playoffs and this team's going to win this division. And I'm like, you can't do that
Yeah,
until
we're not there. We got to see the draft. We have to see camp and everything. Like
another part
it's
to it
too.
too is this, and I know opponents are already named, but with the schedule release, you have to look at that too because there's a difference between playing a team in September and October versus November and December.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but also the other thing I want to say with Philly as well is how certain games last year for them where it's like they're just too inconsistent. On like Black Friday against Chicago, it was like this is a team that couldn't move the ball against let's call it a middle of the pack defense in the Bears. And
Yep.
then you get outplayed by the hospital bed 49ers in the playoffs at home. Like I think
Yes.
I really do think though that if it doesn't go well this year, I'm not saying Hurts is out, but if I could see them doing the Tom Brady thing in 2014 where hey, you draft someone like Ty. I'm not saying Ty Simpson, but there's another quarterback they get where it's
Yeah.
kind of like, hey,
I mean,
Jalen.
yeah. I mean, with Jalen Hurts, man, like I mean, he really was not looking as good on his feet last year, and I think without Barkley there to really set up the pass, as well as the offensive line woes. I mean, a lot of situations where he was playing from behind and just looking lost. I feel like Hurts is a guy who has to play with a comfortable lead. And yeah, if they take a step backwards this year, and especially if AJ Brown is gone, and Saquon is going to be approaching 30, right? Like this is the point where you've got to be asking yourself, like, all right, this is kind of a reset moment for the franchise. There's going to have to be some changes, and do we want Jalen Hurts to be part of this next phase of the team? Does he fit? Is he somebody who's going to make? Because at this point, when you're committing to what's becoming a veteran, not an old, but a veteran quarterback, you're counting on a guy like that to really set the tone and really like set the culture. Like, all right, this is Jalen Hurts' team that he's coming into. Like, like if you're coming into like the Chiefs have, are entering kind of a rebuild phase of sorts of a reset, let's say. But it's like we got Pat Mahomes. We know Pat Mahomes can get the job done. We are going to bring people in with the idea that we put you with Pat Mahomes and he will get greatness out of you because he knows what the fuck he's doing. And I don't think that you can say the same for Jalen Hurts, where it's like if we get AJ Brown out of there and we need to develop some new receivers, we need to come up with some, new plays on offense. We've got to kind of, redesign things a little bit. That as long as we got him there, we're in good hands. I don't know that you can say that.
Yeah, that's because Philly. Like I've had talks with a friend about this because believe me, there's a buddy of mine who comes on here often, and McGarvin, and we're basically saying that there's some bookmarks and receipts that could be cashed on June 1st and June 2nd with this whole Philadelphia situation. Like you're right. I looked it up for Saquon just because I was curious. He's going to be 30 at the end of next season. So if they get to the Super Bowl, he's going to be just turned 30. And he's had a hell of a career, but like it's the whole thing. Age starts to show itself, and maybe he's one of those players. I just also think too that everything you've seen with Philly so far, and I know a lot of cracks came with the foundation of a team I love, but it kind of shows that what the Patriots did for so long is truly unrepeatable because any internal issues like this never escaped. You did not hear shit about it. Anything was squashed in house, squashed internally. That's why they were able to keep it together for so long.
I got to tell you, man, I think that part of it is like, I look at the coach. I think that Sirianni is a very immature coach. I don't think that he has the
He's been to 2 Super Bowls and they still want him fired.
Yeah, well, because it's like he just comes across like
he's
like
extremely corny.
Frat boy,
he's extremely corny.
Yeah, like I don't get the idea that like he commands a room, with like that if there's issues that he would command authority and like get that stuff straightened out. Like, do they actually respect him as a leader of men, or is he just along for the ride as long as the talent carries the team? I feel like it's more Howie Roseman's team than Sirianni's team.
Yeah, because I feel like with Howie too, Howie gets a leash because he's got he constructed the two Super Bowl winning rosters there. So like obviously he had 2017, he had 2024. Um, but if you really ask me, that team, I really think we are having a different conversation had they beaten Kansas City the first time as well. The fact that they blew that game, and then because here's the thing with
Yeah.
them, like they have a season that's kind of down, and then they make the Super Bowl, and then they go to Tampa Bay and they get their ass kicked in the playoffs in the wild card round.
Yeah.
After that, they start off historic, and then they fall off a cliff, and then last year run the table, you go through the playoffs, you get to the Super Bowl, and the Kansas City Chiefs just crumbled at the absolute worst time.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then
Sure.
this year too, it's inconsistency after inconsistency. Um, I I do think he has a good football mind. It's just the fact that they always have to change offensive coordinator year in, year out. Like how it was Kellen Moore, it was Steichen before that. There was 2023. I don't even remember because that year went so terribly for them.
Sure.
Um, and then Kevin Patullo this year, and now you're bringing in Sean Mannion, who's never been an offensive coordinator before. So they're a team that I don't think Sirianni is would be fired after this season unless they miss the playoffs. But if they were to lose badly in the playoffs again, those Philadelphia radio calls and that seat, like it's like kind of turning the ignition on in the barbecue. I think if they have a bad year in that sense, you turn the heat up on the seat. I think going into 2027 would be hey, Nick, you got to do something. You got to have a good year or you're gone. I really think that's where it stands for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm obviously not going to get into coaching with you because, look, John Harbaugh just got there and he's got a lot of leash from
Yeah.
ownership.
Sure.
Dan Quinn's an obvious one. Look, if it doesn't go right there, I think him and Adam Peters are probably gone just because of the talent they've signed.
Easily.
And
Yeah.
then Dallas, I really think Schottenheimer's safe as long as the Cowboys don't suck. I think that's the whole
He's
thing.
gonna be fine. Like I feel like the Cowboys are like they're just like it's very like it's
They'll
that
win somewhere
borderline
between
like,
7 to 10 games and keep it
can't
exciting enough.
can't get over the hump, but it's not like I'm ashamed, but more like we could be better, I guess. But also it's
Relevant.
like I don't hate you. I see some bright spots. Like they're just they are very like I feel like the Cowboys have been the same team for the last 20 years.
Yeah. It's all about
The
just be
the
relevant
Romo
and have all the primetime games.
yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
we're going to play. Hey, you're going to be you're going to 425 this week. Oh, hey, you're Monday Night Football next week. Oh, you're Monday Night Football again. Oh, you're Thanksgiving football. Oh, and then the next week, you're going to be on Prime because you played on Thanksgiving. And then the following week, you're going to be Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
If you look at
Thanksgiving's
Dallas,
never going away, sadly.
no, them in Detroit is never going away. And that's one thing I want to talk about because I talked about it last week with the scheduling. I would love to see and I know you guys call it Blackout Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to do the game on that day, but if they can do it safely, that's the only thing I ask. You can't do the whole because what are you going to do? Have them play? I think the only two options are you have a team's coming off a bye week, but then again, that's a very very shortened bye week.
Yeah, I mean, you can do football any day of the week and make it work. Like we've seen this before. Like we've seen weird games on Tuesdays before. Like I just think that they won't do it because it's a social night. It's not a night where people are going to want to stay in and watch football. It's
No,
like the
but
big
the fact
yeah.
that every game is now available.
Maybe. I mean, listen, that's not really a valid point of mine because considering that the first game of the year is taking place where in Australia.
No, so what's going on is the Wednesday night, it'd be September 9th. The Seahawks will host and raise their banner, unfortunately. And then Thursday night will be Rams and 40. Yeah, smile all you want. And then the Rams and 49ers play Thursday night / Friday morning in Melbourne. So
right.
Yeah, so it's going to go Wednesday, Thursday.
Not the first game, but okay.
So they're still doing it. So that first official game is the team who's raising the Lombardi, and they're also doing. I know why they're doing Rams Niners right at the beginning of the year because that's the safest time to do it. And also, I'll say this too: week 2, just in your parlays, bet against the Niners and the Rams. They're probably still going to be a little jet lagged and still a little fucked up from the time change. So I'd probably bet against those teams that week. And then I look at the rest of the NFC as a whole, like. There's not that's the thing right now. It's so hard to dictate who's going to be this. I can probably say already who's probably not going to be in the playoffs from the NFC, and there's maybe I think there's one team that comes to mind at the moment. Besides that, I think you have 15 teams, so I think have a decent shot to get there. Like the only one team I see is Arizona, and that's just because you're stuck in a division with like three of the best teams in the conference.
Right.
You have the Seahawks who won the Super Bowl. You have the Rams who very well could have gone there, and you have a team that if they had stayed healthy, the Niners were a very good football team in 2025, even
They
with the
were.
injuries.
I thought that the Niners, there was part of me that thought like, well, maybe they can pull it together. But then like the injuries just caught up with them.
Yeah,
Uh, it was, I mean, they were making a believer out of me because, and I had this argument with Big Rat a few weeks ago, but yes, yes, they were right there, you know. It it really it was that final that game against the Seahawks, right? It was make or break. Brock Purdy was playing some of the best ball of his career, and I think that he was raising his. I think that he was raising a lot of eyebrows.
yeah.
I think a lot of people were like, "Damn, you know, he's playing. He might be playing some of the best we've ever seen out of him." And I think the team was just too decimated. And Seattle was great. Like, hey, they were probably the only team in the NFC with a really legit defense, going in the playoffs last year that could have done what they did. But I still think that Brock Purdy is like, to me, he's like an Eli Manning type of, he has that opportunity where if he gets over the hump and gets the ring, people might like they'll give him his flowers. Not to say that he is elite top 5, but like he's a nice, he could be a nice top 10, you know?
He's good enough to get you there. It's just basically he'll go as far as he takes you. It's kind of like it's like a Josh Allen light, you know? Like
Yeah,
he's not going to wow you and steal a game like Josh can, or like when he's on, he's like, you're not stopping him. But he's good enough to where he's making the money, and he's already been to a Super Bowl and a conference championship game, even though he got hurt in that game. So
right.
yeah, but like Brock Purdy's one of those stories where, hey, like, and I know everyone thinks, oh, we can get a quarterback late. I just think Brock Purdy, he's also a product of the system, in my opinion.
Yep.
He's a product of the system. Kyle Shanahan knows how to play him properly. He knows how to properly wire the robot.
He is surrounded by a lot of talent for sure. I mean, and we did see Mac Jones play pretty great as well, running the same
Yeah.
offense for sure. But I definitely think that Brock has, he's improved by the year. And hey, listen, we've seen it. We've seen it many times in the league. Just because you're surrounded by a lot of talent does not mean you're going to play great as a quarterback. Look at JJ McCarthy, yeah?
9. Hey, but then you got players like, players like my guy who might not be surrounded by the best talent, but still can make it work in Drake May.
Yes, and I will say this, Griff, is that I think that people have gotten the wrong idea about Drake May based on the playoffs. He definitely he definitely did not play great in any of those playoff games. Some of those were weather related, but I think that it reshaped the narrative surrounding the Patriots that Drake May was along for the ride when no, he was the team MVP in the regular season. Like he's the reason that they got there. He definitely balled out reg season. It's just the playoffs were kind of like almost a return to the first year Tom Brady or first few years Tom Brady, where it was like, okay, the quarterback is more of a game manager and this is a defense first team, but it should not take anything away from how great he played during the regular season.
Yeah, no, it definitely shouldn't. It's just the thing with Drake throughout the playoffs is in all three of look, there was 4 playoff games he played in. One playoff game, the whole team just played bad. Seattle was always the better team. I know everyone's like, oh, if Bo Nix was healthy, they could have won. Yeah, sure, they would have went. I don't think anyone was beating Seattle in the playoffs if they got to the Super Bowl. I think if the Patriots had played the Rams, we'd be having maybe a different conversation just because the way the Rams looked at the playoffs, like they were good, but they weren't like that wow factor team. But in the games that they won, it's because Drake May made a play when he had to. He had the touchdown against the Chargers in the wild card. He had the beautiful throw to Kayshon Boutte in the divisional round. And when they needed him to get a first down on 3rd and 6, that run against Denver to get them to the Super Bowl, he made a play. That's where I think he succeeds really well, is the fact that he's able, if Drake can make a play unscripted and when he needs to, that's when the Patriots have won football games all year long. But less about the Patriots and more about wrestling, because this weekend, man, we got WrestleMania. Yep. We don't have any fancy graphics for this, nothing else. We're just going to run down the card. But I want to say something with wrestling first. because I really don't think, and also, who would have thought that Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker would be just as good bookers of development as other shows as Triple H was back in the day?
Yeah.
Like, like Undertaker especially. Like, I haven't watched Triple A, but everyone keeps saying that he's booking a hell of a show down in Mexico.
Yeah, I haven't caught as much WWE outside of main roster, but lately. But yeah, I mean, who would have thought, right? Undertaker of all the people, right? Like booking, booking AAA. But hey, I mean, if it's going well, it's going well. I know that there's definitely been some matches that have been called out down there over the last year. So good stuff, and everyone seems to love work with Shawn and NXT.
He seems like I've started to watch more and more NXT as 2026 has gone on, but it seems like with him, like with Shawn, he's enjoying it. He likes being able to develop the talent. He's like, they respect him, he respects them. Like, it just seems like he's having fun with it. And then with Triple H right now, I really don't think he's been look, has the last 2 years been bad? No, but also has it been the best? No. But I just think, and I'll say this, people are I think because of his first year and a half was just straight gas from SummerSlam 2022 to WrestleMania 40.
Yep.
It was just full steam ahead, beautifully booked, beautiful booking, just great matches, to where WrestleMania 40 peaked, to where I think it's kind of like Marvel in a sense right now. Endgame was perfect. Yep. WrestleMania 40 was perfect. To where now, if it's not as good as what that was, I think people kind of view it in that like negative limelight of like, oh, it's not the best thing. Oh, it's not this. Oh, it's not that. You could say we want about the TKO stuff. We'll get into that. I just think that if the mid of Triple H is bad for you, go back and watch all those clips of what WWE was 5-6 years ago, like 2019, 2018, 2020, like that time frame there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought up Marvel, because that is what WWE feels like right now to me.
Yeah.
It feels like Marvel got to a point where the individual creativity of a director that they could hire for a movie didn't really matter, because it was being, shoved into the cookie cutter MCU template, right? Yeah. And because it feels like the movie was being booked by a committee, which they were, right? There was like a Disney, MCU parliament essentially, and it feels like WWE right now is being booked by a TKO parliament. I think that Triple H is doing the best job he can to try to get people through what they have been tasked with putting together. But I think that there are a lot of stakeholders in what's going on. I think that there are people, from TKO who are not intimately involved with pro wrestling, and they are the reasons that they may be requesting things on the show for reasons that are totally disconnected from what the fan base actually wants to see. And there's no better example of that than the Pat McAfee storyline, right? I think that Triple H is, unfortunately, it's a two-edged sword with him, where he's there because the boys will respect him. And, he knows wrestling. This is his baby. He's close with so much in the locker room. They respect him for being a really good mentor and a boss.
Yeah.
Also, he becomes the scapegoat of, like, he's getting all, you got to just comb social media. Triple H doesn't know how to book. Triple H is a bad creative. Where I think that when the problems with the product are like things that don't jive with traditional pro wrestling and traditional WWE, to me, that is a signal that it's not Triple H's idea. Because I've seen Triple H's creative vision in NXT Black and Gold. It was something that harkened to what a die-hard wrestling fan wants to see.
The shows are better than WrestleMania, for Christ's sake.
Exactly. I believe that when he's got the wheel and nobody else is trying to grab it from him, I think he totally knows what he's doing. And I think that this rough patch they're going through, I don't blame him.
But here's the other thing too with that. I said what I said because look, like, I went to 3 of the 4 takeovers that occurred during his tenure as main booker for NXT, because let's be honest, NXT even did the same thing too, where it was like Triple H, it was great, boom, and then the pandemic hit, and then it fell apart, and then eventually he started doing more main roster stuff. I believe it was when Vince and Pritchard took it over in like 2021 and became NXT 2.0, because Vince didn't want
2.0,
it.
yeah.
It didn't want it. He wanted it to be true developmental and not outshine the main roster, because it was outshining the main roster from pretty much from Brooklyn 1, from that very first Brooklyn show that I also was at, all the way to NXT Takeover Portland, right about a month before COVID hit.
Yep.
To where then they were like, nope, it has to be developmental. It has to be this. To where then, the stuff with Vince happens. He goes away. Boom, 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 boom. And then you bring Triple H to the main roster. Shawn takes over creative there. And then now, hey, they're starting to come. They're getting their comeback. Where, yes, they are running smaller venues. I don't know if it's ever going to get to as big as what the Black and Gold era was. I think that was special for a reason.
Well,
but
it was also because, like, Black and Gold was a byproduct of the overall pro wrestling scene becoming really, really hot. Yes. And so by signing all of these people that were proven to be able to draw full-size arena attendances, like it went hand, it only made sense logically. Like like the indie scene is not hot now like it was 10 years ago.
Nope.
So they don't have those people to pull from where it's like you're going to come in and bring somebody in who's instant box office. Like there's no one that they can really sign who's not from AEW. And even there, it would be like the top, like a good chunk of the AEW roster, right? But like those people, they're main roster ready. You're not going to put them in NXT. So as far as who NXT could get, like you're like, okay, well, Japan's not hot like it once was. TNA, you're not going to get anybody there who's going to really change the business dynamics of what's going on here. Indie scene doesn't have it. So the format that they have right now, they've kind of reverted back to recruiting younger kids, like, that are very like, early into their wrestling career, former college athletes, or like guys in the indies that have only been on the indies for like a limited amount of time, and going back to it is a developmental territory, which I think is great. I mean, it's great. It's just that like the scope changes. That's all.
Yeah. It's just because that's the thing I was gonna say too, is because TNA had like their come up where it was like early 2000s when it was, hey, you're getting AJ Styles, you're getting Samoa Joe, you're getting Kurt Angle, you're getting all the stuff here, and then it's kind of like when Hulk comes in, it's kind of when everything started. They wanted to go up, but then it really went down. It's kind of that same sort of thing with NXT, to where they're never going to recapture the magic of what they once had, but they kind of, to quote The Rock, they know their role and they stay in their lane. You know your role, you shut your mouth, you just stay in your lane, you keep doing what you're doing. The other thing too, where everyone kind of talks about with, like, even I think AEW too, to an extent, did that as well. There is some stuff with the thing with them. I find it weird that Tony Khan once was trying to basically say, hey, women's wrestling deserves more spotlight, and then Sunday you had one women's match on the main card. That's where I'm kind of like, that. But then that's just one little gray. I was just one little thing I saw, and then even too, I want to get your opinion on this. Like, do you have MJF lose tonight and then just have him win it back in New York?
Absolutely not.
Thank you. I don't know why that people were saying, you have to do that. Like, I understand him defending his title on a Wednesday night. Hey, that's fine because Darby's not the main key, but why are you going to have him lose it? Like, to have him lose it just to have him win it back in 6 weeks? That is Vince McMahon WWE. That's not Tony Khan and AEW booking.
I agree. I have a like, there's many reasons why MJF should win tonight. So number one, MJF is obviously like money right now. They've got something with him, and they're actually like, I mean, the AEW. I love the way they're booking the main event scene for the most part, where MJF, beating top guys, and you can have this dude go on like a Ric Flair style title reign for the rest of the year up until All In, where he runs into Ospreay, and then you do the switch there, and then you make like Ospreay the biggest babyface in the business, and MJF versus Ospreay could be like the biggest match of the year in pro wrestling if they do that right. Because MJF's got dumb momentum right now. The Hollywood crossover, he's doing all the interviews, he's defending the title all over the place. He's firing on all cylinders. I don't know why you'd want to throw that away, especially after you just had him beat Hangman and Omega, right? And then also with Darby, so they just set up a number one contender by having him win at the pay-per-view, and by having this match be in his hometown, it sets it up, so it writes itself, right? You do a screw job finish tonight that gives Darby the reason to want a rematch. Now, Darby gets screwed in his hometown. Where's the next pay-per-view? It's in Queens. It's by MJF's hometown. They can do a rematch there. That in a tennis stadium, they would love to do a falls count anywhere with Darby, like, doing some crazy, fall off the rafters gimmick, right? So it writes that you can get 2 matches out of this. You get a great pay-per-view main event. You get a great match tonight. And, the title needs to stay with MJF, though, because it's like you need this guy to be the hottest heel in the business by the time he faces Ospreay at All In. Like, make that as big as it can possibly be.
Yeah, that's just exactly it. Where I'm like, yeah. Do I follow AEW as closely as WWE? No, but I know enough to what's going on to where I kept seeing everyone being like, oh, have them lose tonight, have them do that. Where I'm just like, no, because then you just make it obvious. And when booking is just way, way too obvious, I just don't think that's good for wrestling in general. I know everyone likes to narc on WWE Unreal. I like it just because it shows that like that show really shows that like for everyone who thinks that they know what they're talking about, you don't know what you're talking about because no one really knows what's going to happen. But less about wrestling and all this stuff there. I just wanted to get this stuff with Triple H and obviously the AEW off my chest.
Sure.
But Saturday, we're gonna run through the matches, not quickly, but just like talk about like I'll say a match and we'll say what's gonna happen. Like Vision versus the Usos in LA Knight. I think that's a match you just have the faces go over. I think you have like 10, 15 minute 6-man tag. You have the heels get most of the heat. You give LA Knight gets the pin just so LA Knight pin speed just to like do that, or you have a screwy finish. But I just think that's kind of the hey, I don't know. It opens the show, have the show start right. The face is winning, kind of like how last year, how Jay won, where that's all I really got to say about this match.
I disagree, actually. I think I would actually have the Vision go over. I think that they need something. I think that this stadium has been crippled like so badly with all the injuries and like it feels like there's been a black cloud hanging over this stable. And I feel like because they had Logan Paul. They had an angle set up with him and Seth Rollins, and they didn't act on that. And I think that the reason they did that was because they're like, crap. Well, Seth needs to go over. The Vision needs something, man. Like they need something or else the stable is dead. So they're probably thinking, well, we'll give them tag titles. And yeah. I get that, right? And here they can do, they've got the celebrity rub too. It's a 6-man tag. There are a lot of ways that you can book a finish that doesn't really kill anybody. And you just, I think that this is a situation where like, hey, heels get the last laugh. Like they got the tag titles. The belts are not on the line. I say like, keep Vision strong. It'll probably like, it's not a babyface win to kick off WrestleMania, but it's fine. They need it more.
Yeah. No. You know what? Now that I think about it, I thought they were going to like, hey, have the faces win, have them go there. But for the senses of booking, I think it makes more sense to have the Vision go over. And I think you also have Speed get the pin just to have the fun little celebrity thing.
There you go.
But with Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre, though, I think this is an either way. I really think this could be a really good match. Look, I know everyone's saying, oh, it sucks Drew lost the title. No, what happened in the main event, besides obviously people getting involved, I still think it's going to be a good match. But for this one here, I think you just have these two guys beat the hell out of each other for like 15, 20 minutes, and you call it a night. I think at the end of the day, though, I do think you have Jacob go over. I do think for this one you have Jacob win.
Yeah, I mean, I could see this one going either way because the thing is that, like, see, I feel like Jacob winning would set him up to ascend up the card, like, to where, I mean, we'll get into, the main event of night one, but, like, if he was going to win and then go after Cody, it would kind of make sense.
Yeah.
I feel like, but if they're not ready to give Jacob a big push, I could see it being like a make good apology to Drew, just kind of like last year where he kind of got screwed and then he went over Damian in an ODQ. But Jacob, I think either way, Jacob does need the win more.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna lean that way. I'm gonna lean Jacob, but it's a tough call.
AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch. I really think just because of who's around more, I think Becky gets her title back. And then I think for this one too, you had WrestlePalooza, you had War Games, you had Becky lose in Chicago. I think you have Becky win here, and then I think maybe you have a blow off match at SummerSlam, maybe, or you just.
I think we're done here. I feel like Becky needs the beer, and then we're just done. We've seen this match way too many times, and I feel like the only reason you'd be doing it again is because you want Becky to finally get her win back. get the title back. Obviously, AJ's not sticking around very long, so yeah. I mean, I think we're done here. I don't think that there needs to be a stiff match here or anything like that. I think that you've gotten about as much as you can out of AJ Lee.
I think over under for this match, I would go around 9.5 minutes.
I think it's gonna go longer, unfortunately. Let's see it being
Oh,
like 15.
I was gonna say probably 12 to 13.
All right.
The Irresistible Forces versus Charlotte and Alexa, Bailey and Lyra, and the Bella Twins.
Ooh.
I'll be honest with you, I'm really big on Lash. I really think that they're saving her. That's why I think you have her in this tag for now. And it's kind of like Tiffany, where when the time's right, you pull the trigger and have her just shoot up. I don't know if that's winning a Rumble next year, if that's being Money in the Bank. I don't know what that is for her, but I really think Triple H really likes her, and I think that she is the next big thing in the women's division. But with this match, though, I do have a prediction. I do think Bailey or Lyra turn on each other and cost each other. And I do think the Irresistible Forces win. Because like, when I'm looking at the rest of the card, like, Charlotte and Alexa need it? No. Do I want to see the Bella Twins win? God, no. I think the Irresistible Forces make the most sense, and I think this is just it's just a fatal 4-way tag, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I don't really have many expectations for this match.
Yeah, it's just kind of a get people onto the card match, but it does have more talent than you'd think. Yeah, I feel like Charlotte and Alexa, like, nah, they've held those titles before, haven't they?
They did, yes, they did.
Yeah, so they've been there, done that, right? Like, I feel like it's a ticking time bomb until they break up and feud, right? And I think that of the other teams, I could see Lyra and Bailey having like a feel good, like, David versus Goliath type of dynamic to beat one of the big girls. But I mean, you got something here. Like the other teams don't really need the belt, so you could just retain. I'll lean that way.
In a match, this next match, honestly, some people laughed at me when I said this. I really think Seth Rollins and Gunther could be the match of the weekend. And I know everyone likes to say, oh, you could count indies. No, I'm just counting what's WrestleMania. I really think this could probably be the best match of WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, of course it can. And I don't know why people are dogging it either. I mean, like,
I just love the people who said it's like, oh, I can't believe Gunther's back in a great match after taking last year off. And I had to think for a second. I was like, he wasn't off Mania last year, and everyone's like joking because he tapped out to Jay at the first match of the night.
We're all just gonna pretend that didn't happen, right?
But man, if you look at his Mania track record, 39, he had that Intercontinental title triple threat was a banger. Him and Sammy was a great match at 40. So I really think these two, and like we say too, I think Seth is going to go over in this match. I know Gunther's been retiring people left, right, and center.
He
I do think you have to have Seth go over here.
Yeah, Seth has to win in his return, or else he's kind of dead in the water. I think that I'm with you. I think that this has the potential to be the best match of the weekend. I mean, Gunther doesn't miss, and honestly, like, Seth's a workhorse. I don't quite get people. There is, like, some people say, like, oh, like, well, Seth's not the same he once was. You have the injuries and blah blah blah. And like, people probably said the same thing about Shawn Michaels during the back nine of his career, and I just don't buy it. Like, any like subpar match that you could say that Seth Rollins had when he was a heel last year, I would argue he wasn't really put in any position to have like a clinic singles match. Like, he wasn't put in a position like this with this kind of opponent to have a banger. And Gunther's coming off bangers with Cena, banger with AJ, even had an acceptable match with Goldberg of all people. And I would also say that he gave CM Punk his best match since his return to WWE, apart from the Hell in a Cell with Drew McIntyre. So I am expecting you put this match in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
You give them like 25 to 30, and they basically try to do like Michaels and Angle from Mania 21.
That match, I remember watching that match for the first time, and I was just like, that match was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, that match was just. This next match, I know a lot of people have been saying should main event night one. I really think it's going to be a good match. I think you would put this on either right before Seth Rollins and Gunther. I think that's Stephanie Vaquer taking on Liv Morgan. Who
wants this to main event night one?
I think there's just people because of the story saying it should event night one. It is a great match. It's going to be a good match. That's the thing. I honestly think though, I see both sides of this. I see the world where you have Stephanie win, but then you have the side of it where you have Liv win. I don't know with Liv though, where do you go from here with
Mhm.
her? And because I'll be honest with you, I know we were talking about how like Triple H's booking peaked, and obviously look they're in a bit of a down spurt. The
Yep.
Judgment Day's been in the same thing ever since it's been Liv and Dom in my opinion. I think the original four Judgment Day when it was Rhea, Damian,
Yeah.
Finn, and Dom, that was like the best. I feel like Judgment Day now is just kind of like, hey, it's Raquel.
Yeah, especially now that you're getting you're getting Finn out of there. It's like, okay, it's just Liv,
It's run its course.
Dom, JD McDonough. Like, it's time to move on. It's time. I think that we're reaching the bloodline, my family tree point where it's like, okay, all right.
Because here's how I look at the booking for this. Either you have Liv go over and then it's just, she's heard like, hey, I'm back, I'm this, I'm tough. See, I beat you, Stephanie, even though every week's been a fucking sneak attack. That's the one thing I've hated, even though Liv was wearing a really cool WrestleMania 15 shirt when she got that giant man, that spot with her and Roxanne backstage where they just went was
Oh,
insane.
sure. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I look at this more to where I'm like, if you really want Stephanie to be that dominant figure in the women's division, I don't think you have her lose here.
Yeah,
I
I
really
don't think so
think
either.
I think you
Yeah.
have Stephanie win because I see two worlds with this match. You either have, I think it's either Stephanie wins clean or some fuck shit happens and Liv wins. Like, Roxanne gets involved, Raquel gets involved.
Yeah.
But I really do think that if you have Liv, like, because here's the other thing too, they just introduced new music for Liv, which I didn't even watch that video, but everyone was saying it was terrible. Um,
It was kind of corny. Yeah.
yeah,
I
so
mean,
I
yeah.
just look at it with her where I'm like, because I think we'll get into Sunday, but I think you kind of like I'm kind of connecting puzzle pieces on where everything's starting to
Yeah.
go with that rivalry. But I think when I look at the match order for this show, because obviously the first two matches are the free ESPN matches, I think you
Yep.
have this match kick off the whatever ESPN DLC plus gimmick you guys have to use to watch it. I get Netflix.
Oh
Um,
no, they've already they've already made it clear that the 6-man tag with iShow Speed is going to be the first match,
yeah.
followed by the street fight. They've already announced
Oh, I
which
know
two
that.
matches
Oh, I know that.
will right.
I just know that like what I forget the name of the service that you guys have to use for ESPN
All
to
right.
watch
You're
WrestleMania.
saying the rest of the card.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I
Okay.
think Liv and Stephanie kicks off that part.
So
The
they're match number 3. Okay.
I think they're
Yeah.
match number 3. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have them go 3. I think you do. Um, I don't know if that's where you throw in Seth and Gunther right after them, but I think
I would do it there. I think Seth Gunther is like 4. I would do it like right in the middle.
you do that. I think then you do women's IC title. I think you have the Fatal 4 tag, and then you close with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton.
Yep.
Look, I really, really will be pulling for Cody, but I just think with everything going on, I just can't see a world where Randy loses.
Yeah,
I just
they've already Oh, I'm gonna a prediction by the way for the before I forget. I am gonna predict Stephanie goes over Liv. I think
yeah,
that
I'm the
she.
same. I think Stephanie wins, but I'm going to put my puzzle pieces together because it involves Sunday's aspect of the show.
Yeah. But I think that like Liv can talk her way out of a loss. I think that the win does a lot more for Stephanie at this point.
Yeah, because like if you want to have Stephanie be this big player dog in the women's division, you have her
Yeah.
win. I think you have her hold the title till SummerSlam. Honestly,
I agree, and we got to get a rematch between her and Io Sky. Like in my opinion, that should have been the WrestleMania match. But I understand that they probably thought, well, Io has gotten women's title matches at WrestleMania like every year. They wanted to try something different, so
yeah.
I kind of get it.
Yeah, and then even like I'm thinking ahead to Backlash too because I really think whoever wins Sunday night with Seth, you have Seth face him at Backlash. I think you do that, and then you have Gunther go someone down another avenue, or you have Seth and Gunther run it back. But with this Cody Randy match, I don't think it's going to be as bad as what last year was because we see because here's the thing, last year wasn't even a bad match. It's just the celebrity involvement overshadowed it so much to where it didn't make any sense. That's the thing. Like Cody Cena. Yeah, the match itself wasn't, it's not terrible. It's not like this god awful match. Like it's not fucking.
It probably would have been looked at more fondly with a better finish. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's not Bam Bam Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor WrestleMania 11. It's not that, but it also wasn't Shawn and Brett in the Iron Man match at 12.
Sure.
It was a fine match, but it could for what a main event of WrestleMania was, it wasn't. And I don't know if you've seen this as well, but ever since they split into 2 nights, the night one main event has always cooked. Boneyard match at 36.
Yeah, I mean,
Sasha
usually,
Bianca.
Yeah, they do have a pretty good streak there. I mean, I was not too fond of the tag match with The Rock. I thought that match was not bad, but I mean, it's got The Rock and it's going to get a pass regardless. But I actually thought that they wore out their welcome there.
But 39s was amazing with KO and Sammy taking on
39's fantastic. Austin was a spectacle. Even if you go back to 37, which I was there for. The Bianca and Sasha was really good too.
Yeah, and then last year you had the great triple threat match, which was a hell of a story. Meanwhile, with this match, I think it's going to be good. I just think Randy winning and all the pomp and circumstance around that, about that happening, I think is going to overshadow anything that happens in this match.
Yeah, I agree. I'm worried about this match for several reasons. Number one, the Pat McAfee stuff. The TV is essentially telegraphing that this match is going to have interference. And unlike Bloodline rules from a couple of years ago, this is not a match where people are eagerly anticipating the interference in a way where it's like, oh, what can happen? I think people are rolling their eyes at the idea of Pat and or Jelly Roll getting involved here. Pat's dominating the TV so much that, like, it's basically, it's telling the audience that the payoff at the pay-per-view is going to be involving him in some capacity. It doesn't feel like it's completely taken the focus off of an issue between Cody and Orton. So right then and there, there's a real reason to worry about a Travis Scott 2.0 kind of moment. And number two is because of the angle, the predictability aspect of it, it's very apparent that they're going to be doing a celebrity mixed tag match at Backlash. That really only makes sense. And that can only happen. Pat McAfee said he would walk away from WWE if Orton lost the match. Well, if he's going to have a match next month, I guess that means that Orton's going to have to win the title then, isn't he? So that's telegraphing an Orton victory. I think that the whole Pat McAfee shadow looming over this match, it's going to change the way that the people react to it, and I think it can disrupt the flow. I'm sure it will have good parts to it, but unfortunately, I have pretty low expectations here, and it sucks because on paper, there's a lot of people out there that on paper, when you hear Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton in the main event of WrestleMania for the Undisputed Championship, there's a lot of people excited about that. But I just think that the way that the TV is telegraphing what kind of story they're interested in telling, I don't think that it's going to be something that's looked back on as this great match.
See, that's the thing. I think the pomp and circumstance around it is going to ruin what could be a great match. And then if you just have them do what they did last year where Cody wins the title back at SummerSlam, because that SummerSlam match with Cody and Cena was a classic.
Yeah. No, it was unbelievable. And it's funny because they're probably going to wind up in a similar boat this year, right? Where it's like, this stinks out the joint, then they do the proper match at SummerSlam, right?
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go in with low expectations. Hope for the best, expect the worst. That's all I'm going to say about this match. I have Randy winning, by the way.
I got Randy winning. Overall night one, I mean, I would say I'm very much looking forward to Seth Gunther and Jacob and Drew. I genuinely think those two matches have the potential to be bangers. I think that Steph and Liv will be pretty good. Everything else, not really very low expectations. Could be a mid-show, but we will see if they surprise us.
I'm going to put a football tie into the first match of night two because the Oba Femi Brock Lesnar match is a lot like the Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl at Super Bowl 49. You are on the 1 yard line with Oba Femi.
You are.
I'm sorry. I know everyone's saying, oh, like, you have to make Brock look good. You have to make Brock look good. Dude, I'll be watching Raw down here and I will be doing that shit walking in my basement. Because I'm going to say this. How do you have him lose after that banger of a promo he cut on Monday night?
Yeah, it's like now he's got the extra dimension. Like we didn't even need him to talk because he kicks so much ass. But now he talks, and you're like, oh my god, he can command a room with his voice.
You have four things with this. You have a big man who can move. He
Yep.
can talk. He is insanely over, and you have a move that has the potential to go mainstream. And I know everyone's saying, "Oh, well, WWE is always going to be that niche little thing that Jared and I love."
Mm-hmm.
But for mainstream culture to get involved with wrestling, to where even Rhea Ripley, I was watching her complex sneaker shopping show the other day, and she says like, "Hey, how basketball players and rappers know us?" It's like that's for them. They're just like, "Hey, we're wrestlers. Like no one really knows much about us." But for that to happen, you have the chance with Obafemi to do something special.
Yep.
I know this match is opening on ESPN, and I know everyone's thinking, "Oh, Brock's going to go over because of that." I can see a world where you're doing that because you have the recognizable name of Brock Lesnar. I don't think there's the world where you have what happened at WrestlePalooza happen here, where Brock just shit kicks him.
No,
Because
yeah, I think that would be it. I mean, and I'm not gonna. I don't think it's right to revisionist history. That was bad booking, but this would be far more harmful because you're looking at a guy who, I think that if Oba wins this match, he could have a 2002 Brock Lesnar style run. Sometimes it happens fast. Sometimes you strike when the iron is hot and it works. I'm honest to God, if Oba beats Brock Lesnar, they could potentially elevate this guy.
You strap that rocket ship to his ass and watch him go.
Yeah, he could win one of the world titles at SummerSlam or next year's Mania, and it would totally work. They got something here. Dude checks you summed it up. Dude checks all the boxes. In serious mainstream crossover appeal. You haven't had a guy who moves, looks, and sounds like him, at the top of your company, maybe ever. And it's like we've been saying how WWE's sorely been in need of, building up some new stars under the age of 40, right? And it's great. Guys getting the longevity. It's awesome. But you've got to think about the next generation a little bit. And dude's like 27 years old, right? I mean, you could not ask for a better opportunity to make a new superstar than what you got with Obafemi right here. So I'm sure that if Brock wins, we got the rub from being the ring with Lesnar. It's not enough. He's got to beat him. Brock is retiring in 4 months. You got a chance to beat a dude who is worthy of the win. It's just like Brock beating Taker. He was worthy of the win. A very short list. Oba is one of the dudes. He can beat Brock, and it's not going to change how Brock gets a reaction for the rest of his matches whatsoever.
No. I will say this, though. There's a world, though, where I think if you can have Oba look strong and have Brock win, I'll be okay with that. But if you have a world where you have, the two of them going, Brock wins off one F5, that's just, you just can't have that. You can't have it where you just can't have Oba look weak. You can't do some Kofi Kingston 6-second bullshit where Brock just picks him up, F5s him, and then that's it. I really think, though, that Triple H is smart in this approach to where, if this was Vince booking, Brock 1,000% would be winning this match.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Definitely. I mean, I'm not so worried about the match being a wash or being a one-sided, because I think that WWE is aware that this is the most anticipated match of the weekend. I think that they're aware that the reactions are so crazy that, unless the squash is Oba squashing Brock, which would be a crazy moment, kind of like the Goldberg thing. But even still, I don't think you want to do that either. I think just give people an 8 to 10. Give them an 8 to 10 banger. Something in the vein of Goldberg Lesnar from Orlando, but better. I think. I think it's funny. A lot of people are like, oh, well, how do you do this match? It's I've seen matches like this all the time. Yeah, it's not going to have an extended heat or anything like that. It doesn't need to go 20 minutes. But, you can get a solid 8 to 10 minutes of these big dudes just, throwing bombs at each other. Absolutely.
You know what I think this match could be like? Do you remember when Roman beat Brock for the title at SummerSlam? I think it was 2018.
Yeah, when Braun Strowman was teasing the cash-in and stuff.
I think that was
Or
it.
are you talking about the crazy match when when Brock had the forklift?
No, 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 not the forklift one. This was when Roman won the championship off of Brock after Brock held it hostage since WrestleMania 33.
Okay.
I don't remember the time of that, but I just remember that like match where it was like Brock. I think you have this match where you have Brock start off dominant, and then you have Oba fight back, and then just beat the shit out of him, and then Oba gets the win. That's how I think you book this match, and like you say, in an
Yep.
8 to 10 minute thing. But
Yeah, I think that like you got to have I would love a moment in here where like Oba takes an F5 and just stands up.
I really think you have to have something where it's like,
Can you
it's
imagine like the reaction of that freaking place?
it would be bananas. It would be
Yep.
insanity if
Yeah.
you have some shit like that go down.
Yep.
Um, the what was I gonna say now? What's the next match we have on this
Oh, there are other matches
show?
on this card.
Yes, there are. Believe it or not.
Yeah. No.
Um,
Night two actually looks like a solid show front to back.
no, night two does. The next match is the six-pack ladder match: Rey Mysterio, Rusev, JD McDonough, Dragon Lee, Javon Evans, and
Yep.
Penta. I really think you have Penta have a really long Intercontinental Championship run and just have him
Yeah.
dominate there, because if you don't have a plan for him, I think you just have him close to the IC title. You do the walk, it's the same thing. This match is
Yeah.
gonna be it's gonna be like the one from SummerSlam last year. I know that was a tag match, but it was just you have a bunch of crazy ass. You have guys in here who can have a bunch of crazy ass spots on the ladder, and you have Penta win. I think that's as simple as that.
Totally agree. Yeah, Penta needs to go up here. I think that he's been getting a lot of attention lately on he was spotlighted on Unreal, talking about his connection with the people and how over he's getting. So yeah, I think it's have him have a long IC title range, how to raise the prestige of that belt a little bit. Yeah, you got some with him here, so he deserves to have his first kind of Mania moment. And everyone's going to give effort. It's going to be exciting. So it speaks for itself.
Exactly. Um, so you know how we were saying Stephanie needs the win more than Liv because she's the champion?
Yeah,
The way this match has been built has been terrible, but Rhea needs the win more than Jade needs the win. I do think Rhea wins the title here from Jade. I don't really have a lot on this match.
yeah.
I think with this one, honestly, you have Rhea win, and then you build towards her and Neo just having another banger at SummerSlam. I think that's
They
what
could
you
do that definitely. Yeah, they could certainly do that.
You can
Yeah,
even do
I'm thinking Rhea's up here as well. I mean, dude, Jade Cargill, man, I do not understand why she's in the business. I mean, I get, I just feel like after this much time, the fact that she hasn't improved whatsoever, she doesn't have the instinct to be a pro wrestler because she's not present in the moment. She does not emote when she's in the ring. And when I see that year in year out from somebody, it's like you don't love this. You're not into your character enough. You're approaching this like I I have to remember my spots. And if you've been doing that for as long as she has, I really question why she hasn't just, moved on. And maybe that's coming soon. But I think that this is WWE's way of being like, listen, we're going to put you in there with our best female talent overall, right? Rhea Ripley she's the 5-tool player of the women's division. She's been the MVP of the women's division this decade. And I think that they're thinking if Jade cannot have a really good match with her, then this push is dead in the water.
Yeah. I just I also think too, giving her B-Fab and Meechin is it just gives the two of those girls something to do, and then also kind of helps build Jade up. But then I think this is all building towards Rhea winning. By the way, with Stephanie, I do think you have someone like a returning Bianca beat her at SummerSlam if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, maybe.
That's just one thing I was thinking of because I feel like Bianca's a very obvious return on Raw the night after Mania candidate. But yeah, with this match, I got nothing. I think Rhea wins. I do think too this match kicks off the Liv and Stephanie could. I think this match kicks off the 7 o'clock post ESPN thing. I think it kicks off that portion of the show. Sami Zayn and Trick Williams. Look, they've struck gold with Trick Williams too. He emotes well in the ring. He works. I think it's a similar thing with him. I think it's gonna be something similar with him with Penta to where, and also too, this is where great celebrity involvement becomes involved, where you have little Yachty with Trick. I think it's just
Lil Yachty, yeah.
But with Trick though, I think you can give him the U.S. title, have him have a run with it, and then eventually, when you're ready to, push him there, you do it. I don't think it's like an Obafemi situation because obviously Trick was a big player in
Yeah.
NXT. But I think with Trick Williams, you give him the U.S. title, you let him have a run with it for however long you want, and then eventually, then when you're ready, you go. I think that's
Yeah.
as simple as that with this match, and I do think eventually, like I said, too, I think Trick needs to win more than Sammy because it establishes him more than Sammy needing to establish him. Because Sammy's had his wins at Mania. I don't remember if he was on the card last year, but
Right.
40 he got the big win against Gunther. 39 him and KO. Like I just think you need to have Trick have his welcome to WrestleMania moment.
Yeah, it feels that way. I mean, I think that this is kind of weird matchmaking because like by doing the title change to Sammy just to do this match because the rumor is that they wanted to do the match because they want to set up a feud between Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes for the U.S. title, and they wanted to do that by having Mello chase Trick, but not have Trick beat Mello in the first place. And it's like, well, if you want to do that, why didn't you just book a triple threat and then Mello could get on the card too? Because I feel like, the crowd is kind of turning against Sammy, right? Because Trick, like they like his shtick, but they also like Mello. So, the match would have a more organic babyface if he was in it. But I mean, the match will be fine. They're pros, like the Lil Yachty thing will help. Like, Sammy doesn't have bad matches either, so
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be good. And I expect Trick to go over too.
Give him this match could be like, and obviously it's gonna be a very dark example, but WrestleMania 23 MVP Benoit, just something like that, where it's like 10 to 15
Yeah.
minutes. They go out there, they have fun with it, and they end up producing something good.
Yeah.
So how earlier I talked about connecting puzzle pieces.
Uh huh.
I think because he's in the demon outfit, and I think because of everything that's happened, Balor needs the win more than Dominic. Because I think you're eventually because I feel like Dominic eventually can be a world champion. I just don't know when they're ever when they would do that. But I can
Yeah.
see two worlds here, depending on what happens to Liv and Stephanie. Because I think there's a world where if Liv, I think this is how it goes. If Liv wins, Dom wins. If Stephanie wins, Balor will win. Because I think that way, because on Monday night you can have the Judgment Day being like, Liv's new women's world champ. Dominic was always better than Finn. You have that like rebuilding of the Judgment Day up. Or you have it to where it leads to a Judgment Day crash out where both lost at Mania, because how Dom has been bitching and complaining too. That's another world where it's like Finn's got all the whole world in his hands right now because all the things go into Finn's favor. I really think this could be a good match too, but I just think this match has been in the making for a year because I knew as soon as Dom pinned Finn to win the Intercontinental title at last year's WrestleMania, I was like, easy outlet. You do Dom and Finn next year. You just have that slow build towards it. And I really think this is a match, though, where long-term booking can really pay off. And I hope for our sake, and my sake at least, it's Finn going over in this match and not Dom.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's interesting. This match really could go either way, and it all really depends on what they have planned for each man after WrestleMania, right? Like, because I feel like Finn, they had him challenge Punk recently. They just turned him babyface. This could be a case of and Dom is the type of heel that like he can survive losing these matches and like he doesn't he can talk his way back. He's just like a little punk and everything like that. So it's safe to beat him here, even though Finn is obviously the more veteran performer and Dom is like the younger guy that like maybe he can use this win as a launching pad. Maybe you do a program between them. This could be a multi-month.
I think this goes to Backlash. I think they have a rematch at
Well,
Backlash.
If it goes to Backlash, I think you need to have Dom go over.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about this now to where it's like, yeah, because I think you have a world then where Dom wins, Finn wins at Backlash, and then maybe they have like the blow off at Italy.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. Like, I mean, Dom's the type of guy that I could see like having a one-on-one feud with Penta for the IC title. I think that's a very natural, next step. So maybe I mean, with the history of Judgment Day, it makes sense to kind of do an extended program between them. So I'm thinking Dom wins, set up another match with Finn for Backlash.
I can see that, but I can also see can you see a world though where Liv loses but Dom wins?
Um,
Because I think it makes more sense if you
yeah.
have. I
I
can
mean,
see it. I
think of
think it just
the,
makes more sense if you have Liv win and Dom win.
but if Liv loses and Dom wins, like, I mean, we're talking about how Judgment Day is kind of running its course, right? I mean, could be another thing to ramp up the division, right? Could add another wrinkle to continue to splinter the faction.
Yeah, because yeah, like, and also too, so like even Liv with the whole Daddy Dom and all this other stuff, it's kind of run its not run its course, but it's kind of like you have to find a way to reinvent the wheel with it all. With I think with this
Yep.
whole thing, and then you have a really good chance to do like more, not so much end like obviously WrestleMania is the culmination of a lot of stuff, but then it's also too the chance to like launch pad towards 43.
Yep.
Main event time: CM Punk, Roman Reigns. I've been thinking about this one. I really have. I can see a world where both men win. I really think though I think you should go Punk for a booking standpoint, but I really think Roman wins.
This is a layup to me. I think I have thought that Roman was winning from Jump Street because otherwise I thought that Punk would have lost this title already.
Yeah, I was thinking when I say what I said though is because I think Punk just to give him that WrestleMania moment of winning the
Yeah,
match, but I think you have Roman to where he's more of a tweener than a face or a heel. Like he's not either or. He's kind of like that just I'm him kind of mentality.
yeah.
And I really think with this match though, like I'm going. I'm
To me, I think that this match exists. Number one, they wanted a marquee match for the WrestleMania main event between two big name guys, so I
yeah
understand that. Number two, I think that Punk has run his course with this title. I think that he's held
yeah
it a
he's held it for about
while.
6 months.
Yeah, he's held it for about 6 months. He's beaten some pretty high profile people. Like he beat Gunther, he's beaten Balor, he beat Braun Breaker, right? And
He beat
also like,
Balor.
hmm?
I don't know why I repeated Balor. That's my bad.
Yeah, all good. But I mean, I think that with him, like he's kind of, I feel like it's wearing thin with him a little bit. Where yeah, he's had the belt for a while, having beaten these people, whereas Roman has not had the title in a little while, like since he lost to Cody. So 2 years later, strap him back up, but this time the reason that you give Roman the title is so he can make the next guy. And I think that because that should be the objective with this title is really after, like, you need this match to sell tickets, but it's really about making the next guy, whether that's Obafemi, whether that's Braun Breaker, somebody like that. It's getting to that point, right?
Yeah.
So when I think about who's like who would mean more in that type of match, I feel like that's Roman. And also this kind of it closes the loop a little bit with like I think just with everything that they put into this match and like what it stands for. Like I feel like WWE out of their own pride, you got to have your guy Roman Reigns like go over Punk in a match like this as like that exclamation point. So yeah, because I mean honestly after this, like I feel like CM Punk like he's closer to the end than Roman Reigns is. And I mean, maybe this is the beginning of him beginning to scale back a little bit. I'm not going to say he has zero chance of winning, but I'd be very surprised if he did.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I feel like a lot of people think Roman's going to win too, and I don't see this potentially being a swerve, but I do agree with you to where because if you have Roman lose, it's kind of like, okay, where do you have him go from here? Like I think
Yeah,
it's kind of directionless. Meanwhile, you have him hold the world heavyweight championship. You be the guy. I don't necessarily know if he's going to be around all the time, but I definitely don't think it can just be like a mania and he goes away. Like I think he has to be consistently there, even if it's like every other week. It's like, hey, 1 week he's on TV, 1 week he's not. But with Punk though, you can put Punk in a different program with someone else. You can have these two. You probably have them. I would think do something at Backlash. Then maybe there's like a triple threat or a fatal four way in Italy at the end of May, and then from
yeah,
there it kind of like, and then you either set it up to where you have either a big marquee match with Roman and someone else at SummerSlam, or that's where you really put the rocket on Oba's back because I think with Braun Breaker. I think he's going to go into that program with Seth that's going to end at SummerSlam, and then you have
Yeah.
probably Braun. I would have Braun win the Rumble in 2027.
Yeah, I mean, they could probably get that longevity out of him, especially with now that Oba's kind of busted on the scene. Like, to me, like if they wanted to do like, to me, like I'd be on board with an Oba Roman Reigns match for SummerSlam and just rocket ship this guy. I feel like
Exactly.
he'll be hotter than ever if he beats Brock, and he'll be ready like for the spot. And I think you just, hey, take a chance. That's how this stuff happens. Like some Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl in his second year. Tom Brady won the Super Bowl in his first year. Like it, when you're good, and people love a winner.
You have to strike. It's just essentially with this one, you have to strike when the iron's hot.
When the iron's hot.
That's what you have to do. You have to strike when the iron's hot with Oba because, and also I know everyone's been complaining because obviously, look, this was supposed to be in New Orleans last weekend. Now New Orleans is Money in the Bank, but Money in the Bank being after SummerSlam, I think is a good thing now, especially considering the layers of booking that you can change through this whole process. Because
is that going head to head with All In?
I think it's the week after. I think it goes All In, Money in the Bank, and then and then week 1 of the NFL season.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think WWE would ever do. I don't think I think they just did WrestlePalooza because it was like, hey, ESPN.
They did that.
Yeah, but that was just for all. That was All In though, or All Out. All Out is different than All In. I think All In.
No, all In was Saturday Night's Main Event with Goldberg.
You see, like they're not going to put a big show to counteract. I don't even know where All In's going to be. All In's going to be the. Oh no, All In's in England. I don't know where All Out's going to be.
All In's in Wembley. That's Wembley Stadium.
Yeah. I have some qualms with that, but that's another story for another day. I just honestly think with Mania this year, and I know people have been kind of pissed off because the Go Home show was not a lot of wrestling. I really think the Go Home Raw did a really good job at establishing about WrestleMania, because I feel like a lot of the build shows, like it didn't really feel like, oh, it's WrestleMania. The Go Home show for WrestleMania made it feel like, hey, there's the show coming up is a big deal. It's like hey, it's WrestleMania.
They put their best foot forward with I think ultimately when you look at the WrestleMania card, the matches on paper came together like for the most part pretty okay, pretty fine for the most part. Like capacity to be a good show on paper. It's just that the way that we got there was very strange, just because a lot of these matches, the path was not clear, a couple of months ago, and the card did not really come together until after Elimination Chamber, which is really unusual.
Yeah.
Like Seth Rollins and Gunther, like as great as that match, I think will be, storyline wise, it was very like choppy the way that they set it up, and even like Orton and Cody, the way that they got there, why have Cody go drop the belt to Drew and then win it back, and there's a lot of questions that you could ask. I mean, probably the match with the most consistent build was Punk and Roman, but I think that had a degree of redundancy to it, but ultimately they've got, with the WrestleMania atmosphere, with the stage, with the format of the show, they have the potential to deliver. They know what the formula looks like. You look at 39 and 40. You know what makes a 2-night WrestleMania good.
Yes.
And the wrestlers are all capable of having really good matches. So it really just comes down to, how are you going to lay this out in a way that gives people a good show?
That's exactly it. It's all about now, because here's the thing too. If they go out there Saturday and Sunday and it's all great, you know what I mean? Like if the shows are memorable, people aren't going to remember the build. That's the thing. If the payoff is good, no one's going to remember the build. But if the show sucks, everyone's going to remember, oh, the build sucked. We didn't have a clear path to get here, so it sucks. Like, it's kind of like, damned if you do and damned if you don't. That's pretty much it. But you know what? With a show like WrestleMania, every year I go in with high expectations because it is the ultimate show. It is the granddaddy of them all. It's all we can ask for. Jared, I would love to talk to you some more, buddy, but sitting on these I'm ironically sitting on my WrestleMania 33 collector's chair, but it's basically getting a little uncomfortable. So this is where we're going to wrap it up.
I hear you on that. I'd like to scooch back on the couch a little bit, and I've got Dynamite on in the background. We've got MJF versus Darby Allin coming up probably within the next 10-15 minutes. Definitely want to check that out.
We'll all go enjoy that. Enjoy WrestleMania this weekend, everybody. Enjoy the NFL draft. I got one more show before the NFL draft. We're gonna be cooking something up next week for that. I'll see you there.
Alrighty.
Enjoy WrestleMania, everybody. For Jared, the Trust Fund, Benefactor, Silberkleit, I'm Griff Bordegon. 425 of these bad boys in the bag. Have a great night, everybody. WrestleMania, baby. Woo!